Okay, we will go and get started now. I believe pretty much everyone who's on. If there's some additional people that do come on later, we are going to record these, so we will be able to distribute them to everyone as well within the next couple of days. As well, we are also doing another one of these webinars on June 19th at 10 a.m. So please feel free if you wanted to sit down on that one. It will be reviewing the same information we are going over today. But if you wanted to join that one as well, please feel free. You can ask your CSR. It was forwarded in the original information, but they will be able to send you the information as well. Again, just to introduce, my name is Jason Toth. I am one of the implementation specialists here at PayPro. And today we're going to go over Payentry and the new UI that they've introduced. I'm sure a lot of you who haven't seen the new UI yet, this looks much different than the other UI. It is much cleaner, much user-friendly. The few clients that we have already put on just to have them test it and go through it have loved the new system, just in navigating through it, entering the payroll, and just in general being able just to maneuver through this system. It works the same way as the old Payentry. Your sign-on and login information does not change and will remain the same. So the same username, password, and your company ID number will remain the same to log into the system. As you see when you log in, and any of our clients that log in, this first page here is your home screen. From here, it brings up right away your check information for the next check date. For my demo, it's just giving me the check date of the June 21st, 2019. New feature that Payentry has added to the system is the Payroll Trends. Basically what this does is as you pay your employees, it gives you a little graph each payroll showing spikes or divots in the payroll depending on how you're paying. So if you had a normal payroll and then you paid a bonus, the information would be higher. So it's just a new feature that they've added so you can kind of get an idea of how your payroll is trending. Up here at the top, you have your different widgets that you're able to see in the system. For getting into the reports area, simply by clicking in the information here, and anything that you viewed last that you've run as a report, that information is shown right here. And then accessing your employee information through the widget here. You are quickly able to add employees and also click in the widget. First, I'll show you the new employee add screen. It stayed pretty much the same, but again, it's just a little cleaner in the system. So to add a new employee in the system, you can simply click right here on this link to add new employee. And it will bring you to this screen. Very similar to the way that it was set up in the old Payentry. Anything with a little red star next to it, that's mandatory information that has to be put into the system. So again, you're able to go through each cell and enter the employee information in the system. The tax information has been updated with the federal taxes to include in it the new 2020 W-4 information. So any employees that are hired in 2020, when you hire them, you can check this box and you're able to put in the information for the box 4A, the box 4B, and box 3. So that information can be put right in here in the system from the new hire screen, which is an improvement from the older version of it where you would have to go into the taxes to do it. Adding your local taxes works the same way if it's an MTA or city tax. For New York companies, just as an example, you can add your MTA tax and it adds it at the bottom. Also with your local 2, you can add for your New York City, Yonkers, or Pennsylvania. And that will add that here as well. From this screen, you can either just click add an employee and it will take you back to the employee maintenance screen, or you can save and add another and it keeps you on the screen. If an information that for anything that's in red is not automatically filled in, the system will flag it and won't let you save it, and it highlights the information that you are missing. And this is basically your employee maintenance screen. From here, we can go back to our home screen by hitting the little home button up here at the top. This is basically your little safety. Every time you hit the home button, it will bring you back to this home screen where you can access the different information in the system. If we click here on the widget for the employees, by default, it shows you and displays how many active employees you currently have in the system. And if I click on this widget, this will bring me my list of employees. You are able to sort the employees either by last name, first name, simply by clicking on the top part of this. You can see the sort, and it will do it alphabetically. You can sort it by first name, and with the little filters, you're able to filter and search for certain things. So if you only wanted to see people with the last name, you can search for it that way. You can also search for them here in the Smart Search. For this, I'm just going to sort by ID number. For an employee that you want to see the information on, when you highlight in their information, you can see that it changes to a deeper blue. That's the employee you're on. So by highlighting this employee, this will take me to that employee's detail screen. Every employee, when you click on it from this, it will bring you to what they call is the Snapshot View. In the Snapshot View of the system, you're actually able to see basic information on the employee from each one of the employee tabs. You will right away see, obviously, their name, their ID number. If you had supervisor information, would show their current address, phone number, cell number if it was there, email address information, their status, hire date, term date, their last paycheck, what they were paid, their pay rate information, if they have accruals set up on them, their direct deposit information, and deductions, their tax forms, their tax information. We'll also display some of the checks that they've received in the system as well. One of the nicest things about this screen with the snapshot is anything that you hover your mouse over, you can actually click on, and it will take you directly to that piece of information that's in the system. So if you were looking for someone's address and you wanted to make an address change, once you select that employee, you're quickly able just to click right here on the address with your mouse, and it will take you directly to their demographic tab. From here, you can make any changes that you had to make in the system. So you can change anything with their last name, adding a prior name. If it was a simple address change, you can make the change here. So for this, if we were changing the address for the information for this particular employee, you would simply highlight the information, type in the new information, and scroll down and click Save Changes. When you successfully saved, you will get this little box that will pop up so you know your change has been saved. By default in the new system, you will see the Social Security numbers. They're masked. They only show the first 4 digits. If you needed to see the full social, you can actually click right into the cell, and it will show you the full Social Security number. This is done just more as a security measure, so God forbid if someone was looking over your shoulder, they wouldn't be able to see the employee's information with their Social Security. You are also able to see the employee's information through different fields, and I'll show you the long way to go through it as well to be able to see their information. So if we were clicked on this employee right here, and we have their employee information, you're also able to use these profiles that are broken down. Basically, they break them down into 4 different sections. You have your employee profile, which deals directly with information for their demographics, their department position, and a couple of HR tabs. Things like if you wanted to track their education, skills, emergency contacts, the employee self-service feature through Payentry, the events tab, previous employee, and review information. In the payroll setup, that information is information that deals directly with the payroll, things that affect the payroll. Things like auto pays set up on the employee, deductions, direct deposits. If there's health insurance dependent information, setting up fringe benefits for GTLs. If you have labor allocation, that's set up where it immediately has to have certain percentages of departments that you want broken out. The pay rate information, tax details, and I-9 form. The benefit information has to do with the ACA status and coverage and information, your accruals. If you're tracking insurance through the system, you can track it through there, and 401k. The 401k through the benefit doesn't have, just like it did in the regular Payentry, have an effect on any of the 401k. It's for reporting purposes. In the history, this is where you can look at a summary of the history and where you can also view, just like you were able to in the Pay History tab, someone's information for their paychecks. For now, I'm going to go through each one of the tabs just to show you how they look in the new system. Again, to search through the system, you can either stay here on the snapshot view and click on any one of these links, and it will take you directly to whatever you have your mouse hovered over on and you click on. So the navigation in the new Payentry system is just much quicker and cleaner to maneuver through. We'll start with the employee profile. We just went over like the demographic information, your department position. This is basically where any of the information for departments that you have set up in the system, if you have them, are kept. Also, the status position information that they have for an employee. The NextGen Payentry has made it a little easier to terminate and to reactivate employees. They've set up a little termination wizard for when you have someone that you're terminating, and they also have a rehire wizard for when you rehire them. So if you had an employee that you're terminating in the system, you would simply just click on the termination wizard, changing the status to terminated, picking whatever you want the termination date to be in the system for whatever it is, and putting it in there. You can either pick it through the calendar or type it in. It does have default termination reasons. That's not a main category you have to fill in. And then it also marks if you want to make them eligible for rehire. Once you put the information in, you would click submit, and that employee would then be terminated. If you're rehiring an employee, you would work through the same exact steps to rehire them. This wouldn't say termination wizard, this would say rehire wizard, and you would simply be able to rehire the employee following the same steps, changing the A to a T and putting in their rehire date in the system. You are also able to put different information in to track any types of position codes you need, titles, supervisor. This information is exactly the same as it was in the Payentry system that you were using. Also, whatever information was in the legacy system for Payentry, everything is flowing into the new NextGen Payentry, so nothing has to be re-entered or re-put in. All the information that is in the old system flows into the new UI. It's just a different look. Some more other HR tabs that they do have in the system. You're able to track in the system, just like in Payentry, the education. So you can put the information for that by hitting Add Education and to track any information you want through there. The Skills tab is also in the information. So if you had certain skills and certifications that you had that you want to track with an employee, if they're CPR certified or something that deals directly with your business, you're able to save that information in the system for tracking and reporting purposes. Emergency contacts remains the same as well. To track and to change information, to add the new one, you're going to hit New Contact, putting the information in the system, and then hitting Save and Close. You are able to click on View and Edit, where you can also see the information that's already there and change and update any information that is there as well. The employee self-service deals directly with Payentry's My Payentry, where employees are able to view and see their pay stubs. They also have access to see their address information, their direct deposit information, their status, hire date, and rate information. That's information that we control and can set up with you through the employee self-service feature through Payentry, where the employees can get their pay stubs in line as well as W-2s at the end of the year. This is something that we'll be working and you'll be hearing from your customer services representatives about over the next couple of days and weeks as we try to get more and more of our clients signed up for paperless with our initiative with that, to have employees logging online, especially with direct deposit, to be able to get their pay stubs online. This way there's no worrying about reprinting pay stubs, they lost their pay stubs, everything's accessible through the My Payentry that they are able to go through and print their own stubs. The Events tab is a tab that's kind of an open-ended tab in the system, just like it was, again, in the legacy system, where you can track different things. We've had clients use it for something as simple as tracking different types of disciplinary actions to some that use it for farm stands that they have, where they track to see how business was when they were running at a farm stand to see if it was successful or not. So we've had a lot of different uses for this tab that employees use, so we can kind of customize it for you. You have your previous employment, where you can track, if you wanted to, where an employee worked before they came to you, and also the reviews information. Now, the reviews is still linked to the pay rates, so generally I say to employees and employers that you just use in the pay rates, which we'll go over next, that you can track the information if you want it for reviews there. There is reporting and everything that you can do off of the reviews if you wanted to put certain types of reviews. The system will not prompt you when an employee does have to have a review or anything like that. It's really for your own purposes to see, to look at, and that you can report off of. For the payroll setup itself, you have your auto pays feature where you can automatically have employees getting time that they need to automatically get paid every payroll if you have them set up. So by clicking on new auto pay, you're able to click on that, pick the code that you need to auto pay on, whatever it is that you need to pay. If it's hours or rate or the rate code, you're able to put the information in and click save and close, and that will add that. Same as it is in the legacy system. Again, the system is just set up. It's a much cleaner, much clearer looking system. The deductions works the same way. Again, all your deductions that are set up on your company deductions are in the system. A new feature that they did add, however, is with the deductions in the NextGen system. If you had to end date a deduction that you wanted to end, you can simply click here on the end deduction. By clicking this button, it will prompt you and ask, are you sure you want to do this? You will say, okay. It will put an end date on the deduction for you so that it ends and stops that deduction. To add a new deduction in the system works the same way as it did in legacy. You would simply click on add new deduction code. You would choose the deduction that you wanted to add or needed to add in the system. So whatever you were adding for that person that you wanted them to have come out. If it's a flat amount, a percentage, or if you have certain types of garnishments that you pick for the calc code, you would pick that the same way you did, adding the rate amount that you wanted to put in for the system, the frequency of it, whether it's every payroll or if you're doing it once or last a month, that remains exactly the same. The start date, just like in the old system, you're able to put the information in to start on the current check date that you have. It will always default to that. You are able to put this in if you didn't want this deduction starting until the beginning of July. You could put a 1/07/01/2020 date, and it will not start till July. The end date still remains the same in the system that you'll see a lot, the 12/31/2100. That will remain constant throughout as it has the end date. It will fill in just like it does in the old legacy system, the last taken date. You are able to log in and link the agency check that goes with a garnishment or a child support or a 401k, as long as the information is set up in the system. And you still are able to put the goal, and it does track the paid amounts so that the deduction will stop. If you put in a goal, it will track that and stop that information as well. Once all the information that you have and put in the system is set up, you would simply click the save and close, and it will add the new deduction. Direct deposits work the same way. We click on the direct deposits. Current direct deposits that are in the system work the same way. So you have whatever direct deposits you have set up on your system. If you're making a change to someone's direct deposit, just on the direct deposit itself, you're able to see further information by clicking here on the View Edit. This will show the information that was set up on the system. So if someone called, if you would set someone's direct deposit up and you got the information from the CSR that said, hey, you had marked it as a savings account. It's not a savings account, it's a checking. You can change the information right here and change it to checking. You would then just click save and close, and the information is saved. To add a new card, new direct deposit, you would simply just pick here on add new direct deposit. You would set whatever the priority is for that direct deposit that would be set up. Again, the start date would default always to the check date. The end date is always going to default to the 12/31 date. You would enter the information for the transit number, the account number. If it's a checking or savings, you simply just pick which one it is. This will just make a flat amount, and we'll just say they were putting $150 in the account. This works exactly the same way as it did in the old legacy system where you put the information in. If it's only one account and you're putting 100% into that account, you can still make the priority 99. The amount type would be percent, and then this would be 100. Once you put the information in, you would just save that information, and it will save the new account information. The system will automatically go through the pre-note period for direct deposit. It's generally 14 days on our clients. If you wanted to override the pre-note date so that the direct deposit does go in right away, you can override the pre-note date. Generally, what I recommend is whatever date that you're entering the information, you just make it 30 days or a month before. So if you're entering this and you wanted this to happen, we're just going to use this date as an example. On 6/21, we're going to say that we were entering this on 5/21. We would just make it 5/21/2019. And then the information would automatically go into this person's direct deposit account for this check date. So that works the same way. You again are able to track the dependents in the system. If you're using anything with dependents with health insurance tracking, you're able to put the information in, whether it's a spouse, child, the relationship information you're able to add for the dependents. The fringe information for GTLs and tracking works the same way. To add the new fringe, you would simply just click on Add New Fringe, choose the code that you need it to set up, putting in whether it's the units or an amount, and then you can hit Save and Close to do that. The system, just like in Legacy, is able to have set labor allocation. So if you know an employee that you have works 25% of their salary in sales and the rest of it is in an administration department, you can set up the labor allocation to automatically happen. What that will do is it will take the information, 25% of their salary would go to the administration building end of their salary. The 75% would then be broken out into the sales department. So when a labor distribution report is run, it would automatically break their salary information out on that report, so you would see the divide. The pay rate information, the screen has changed a little bit and it looks slightly different than it did before, but adding the new rates and everything is the same in the system. So if you were adding a new rate of pay for someone, you can simply just click in the Add New Pay Rate. If it's just the regular base pay that you're changing, you would just leave it as the default. Again, you do have the multiple rates that you are able to add. The start date will always, again, default to your check date, just like it did in the other system. You are able to, if you were giving raises to employees and you didn't want them to take effect until an earlier time period, you are able to take this information and put in an advanced date, and the raise will not happen until that date. So if we put the 7/1/2019, it will save the rate information, but it will not pay it. So if we put a new base rate for this person and we made it $30, this would not take effect until then. And it even will tell you here that this one's overlapping because, again, it's my demo company, so it has extra rates, but it's telling you that it will take effect. So if we just hit the Save and Recalculate and then Save and Close, it would save the information. I'm falling out because, again, the demo company, but you would put the information in so that it pays them the rate when you needed it to start. Your tax detail information looks slightly different than the other system. I find it a little easier to use and to function with, though, than the old system. Basically, the taxes that you will definitely always be in to make any types of changes with, whether it be for an employee giving you the new W-4, especially in 2020, and the information for your state or your local taxes. The information, again, if you're looking to change the federal tax information, you would simply click on View Edit, and it will bring you to this information to view and to edit this person's taxes. So you can go from here to change their information on the tax information. So you can change their status and their exemptions in the system to make it up to date for them. Again, it still has the additional tax information that you do have there. If they wanted additional taxes, you are able to add that information in as well. And again, with the state information, it works the same exact way. You would have the information. This person, you can see a change was already made and one date was end dated. It does keep the historical data. You would just click on View Edit for the state as well, and the same thing works, changing the exemptions. You can change the exemptions or the status, and then you're also able to add the additional amounts if an employee needs. Again, any changes that were made, you can just hit Save and Close for that information to be changed. The benefit information, it breaks out the ACA status information the same way that it did with the legacy system. So you have your ACA status for the employee that you're on, your ACA coverage, your ACA dependents, and if the enterprise was part of your information. I know a lot of clients we have do use the client portal where they're able to do at the end of the year, they track their ACA and they're imported into the system. That function is still available and will be available as well. The accruals in the system are also tracked. Anyone who has, again, accruals that are already set up in the legacy system, all of that information will flow over. You will be able to see the information that you do have, and you are able to view and edit the accrual if you had to make any type of change to the accrual. So if you had to change something where a balance was changed for whatever reason and you needed to change it manually, you are still able to go into the system and change that. Also has the overrides if you were overriding the rate or the calculation due to whatever reason that you had, if an employee's length of service, so you wanted them, they were rehired to calculate at a different rate, you're able to override the rate in the system as well. The insurance information, this is tagged if you're normally with our benefits clients. This information you would see in here with your different insurance information, and is generally set up by our benefits team. The 401k tab that we have in the system, again, this is that information. It's for reporting purposes only. It has no effect on the 401k. That information for anything with 401k, just like it was before in the legacy system, if we go into the payroll setup and the deductions, that's where your 401k is handled if a 401k deduction is in the system. That is still handled in your deductions. That is it for the benefit tab. In your history tab, you're able to see the history and information in it. Instead of it being one tab and it highlights it, they kind of broke it out to make it a little easier. So the pay history summary section of it gives you a summary of the information for whatever they've been paid. So you're able to pick and to have every year that you've actually had information and been paid for. So you're able to see that. By default, it will always show you, just like it did in Payentry, you have your quarter information, your year-to-date for 2020, and your year-to-date for 19 to show. You are able to put a custom range, so if you wanted to look at previous years and see the information, you're able to put that information in and see that information as well. So from here, we can see in 2018, where this person had some pay history, shows you the summary of what they were paid in 2018. Obviously, with the date range, you could run it just for the quarter, for a month, and you would be able to see that information in the system. Once you put the dates in, you just need to hit recalculate, and the system will recalculate to show based on these dates. For the paycheck history information, this is where you can see the check detail. From here, just like you were able to do before, you're able to view an employee's check. So if you click on the little PDF document, this will load the PDF of the check, just like you were able to do before in the legacy system, where you can view the employee's check itself and see the information where you can print or save. The void reissue information also works the same. If you were to click the void reissue, you choose an option is the biggest difference that it does have in the system. If you're just voiding this check, or if you're voiding and reissuing the check, you're able to pick and choose what you'd like to do. In the system as well, it asks you if you want to reverse the direct deposit. This does come up, and that's a new feature with the NextGen. Sometimes you're voiding a check, but you necessarily don't want to pull the direct deposit out. You just want to void the information in the check for whatever reason. If you're doing that, you can click right on this box. This will tell it to reverse the direct deposits. If you don't check the box, it will not take the direct deposit. So that's a new feature that they added in the NextGen, which makes things a little easier when voiding any checks. And then this is basically the information for the employees that we have in the system. Again, I'm going to go back into our home screen here to go back to the main screen. So from here, I do want to show you guys what the payroll entry end of the world looks like as well today. So again, this is just for our demo. So the check date is set for the June 21st, 19. You can see that clearly right from here. So you're able to click right here on Start Payroll. This will bring up a box just like it similarly did in Legacy, just so you can verify the check date and your begin and end dates. And then from there, you can click right on Start Payroll. This screen is very different from the biggest change I can say from the legacy system to the NextGen is the payroll screen as well. In this information, what it's doing now is it's running through and calculating the information. You can see the information where you can run your pre-process register for all your batches to verify. The NextGen system does make you verify everything before you submit it. That's a very important button. Something new to the system as well is this estimated total payroll cost. You actually get this information before you process. Now, they say it's estimated because this doesn't include any billing information, but it does include all employee, employer taxes, and the net and direct deposit information. So this way, before you even submit the payroll to PayPro, you would know before the payroll submitted around what your total liability for that payroll is. So this is an excellent feature that's been added to the system that a lot of clients find very helpful. So once you're in the system and you've started it, you have this information here where you have your green check mark that you've started the payroll. Right now, no wages have really been entered, just your salary employees have been paid or anyone on auto post. Obviously, we haven't reviewed or verified anything, and the batch is still open. So to go into the pay screen itself, you can click right here on the Enter Payroll Wages. And this will bring you to a grid in the system. So with this, this is very similar to the grid, and this is able to be customized strictly to every user and everyone who uses the system itself. We can add the earning codes themselves that you commonly use when you're entering your payroll. So if you have certain codes and earning codes or even deduction codes that are reimbursement codes that you use commonly, we can work with you for the first setup once you're on the new system to set up and customize your pay grid. To set the grid up in the system, it is very easy. You can simply click right here on this little grid. This will bring you up to this system here. So these pay grid items is what we're going to customize and add. This is what lets you add and change different types of earning codes or deduction codes that you want showing on the pay grid. This way you don't have to go into the edit and details of the check. You can simply key in all the hours for the employees right through the grid to make it easier. So if we click right here on Customize, this will pop up a new window on your web browser and bring you here. So if we wanted to add a new code or add a new piece of information that we want to the pay grid, we would simply just click Add New Pay Grid Item. You would name whatever the code is you want. Generally, what I do is when I set these up and we do it, the first thing we go over with the client is what they're looking for to add. What code do they want to add to the system? So you would pick through this and decide what you wanted to add. So we'll say we'll add commissions because that's something that we use a lot. So you would basically go to here, and then you would just add the column header so that this shows up in the system to show on your grid. So you would go through here for the grid item code, the column heading, and the description. From here, for the value type, this is important because it depends on the code that you're entering. Some codes, if it's a regular code and you're entering always hours for it, you want to set that code up and pick hours. For commission, that's generally an amount, so you would pick amount. So basically, that tells the system when you enter the information, it knows how to treat that item in the cell, whether it be by hours or an amount. Once you add the information, you're able to click right here on Save and Close. And now that's added that code to the grid. So if I go back into our payroll information, close this, and I just refresh for our batch wage entry, I go back into our grid, the commission that we just added for the payroll grid item can now be added. So if I check this box and say close, it adds it to the grid. Now, obviously, there's only X amount of grid items that it can show based on the one screen. So if I scroll over here, here's my commission information. Some of the things that it also does include on the grid, which does make it nice for you to be able to check, it does give you the total gross, total hours that are put in, and what the net would be. So if I were to go in here and say that this particular employee is getting a commission on this check, you would go in here and enter the information here. You can then click Save and Update, and the system will save the information. Again, you'll always get this little box, and then that will update the gross pay information. The paperclip here that you see here, you are able to put notes in the system, just like you were able to do in the other system. The paperclip just identifies that this employee has a note. So if you click here, it's just a test note that has it here. So you're able to put different things, and I'll show you where that is in the system. You're able to put different things if you needed to block the direct deposit for an employee or a certain deduction. You can have this little paperclip show up and you can see what you needed to do to that particular employee. If you were adding a second check or you wanted this employee to get paid an additional check to add another check in the system, you would simply click here through the drop down to add. You have your option for your third-party sick pay and also to add just a new check. So if I click here for the check to add, you'll see here it will add their name and it puts a little 2 next to it. So this way I can go in and pay them the information I want to pay them. Again, if it's a grid item that you have, you can go through and just put the information on the grid. If it's information that's not on the grid item and you needed to go into more details of a particular employee's check, you're able to do that through the Edit button. So if I click here on Edit, I'm able to get this pay screen here, again, where I can add further information to it. So if I had a totally different code that I wanted to add and I wanted to pay them under, this is what we can pay them. So if I went into here, I just picked whatever the code is that I want to pay. And I just wanted to pay separately. This person was just getting 40 hours as a holiday. If you click here for the calculate check, it will immediately show you the breakdown in the system so you can see what that check will be and with the direct deposit information, along with the taxes. Once you've added that information, you just click Save and Close, and now it will save that information for that employee. If I again scroll all the way over here to the right, I can see that it added that information on that check for that person. You are able to say, oh, it wasn't John who was supposed to get this information. This is incorrect. He wasn't supposed to get this. I have to delete this. We have to take this out. Deleting is very easy. If you had the second check and it was incorrect, you're able to go right here to this little trash can, and that will delete the check. It's going to show you here, are you sure you want to remove this? You would say okay. And now the check, that was the second check, no longer shows. In the edit check as well, you are also, just like you were in the legacy system, to choose a check type. If you had just for a certain check that you needed to pick, you are able to pick, and that information again flows over from the information that you do have. Also, by clicking in the customize check, you're able to get the same information if you were blocking deductions or changing a tax frequency on a check. You are able to do the same information that you were able to do in the legacy system as well. So you're able to put all that information and save it. Once you save the information, you would click the Save Check Only. This is also where you'd put the check stub memo, and you would click Save Paycheck, this paycheck only. With the gear button inside here, if we click on this, this is also where you can add additional information that you wanted to see if you were putting in detail, things like if you needed to see for certified payrolls, dates of service, or if you needed to have certain departments, branches, or job codes linked, you can add that information as well to the check to be able to key the information in. So once you're in the payroll screen itself and you've made all your changes, again, by entering the hours, we can put the information in the system just by putting it in our mouse and clicking it there. The system does have an automatic save that usually does it every, I think it's every minute or 30 seconds that it does it, or you can simply just click on Save and Update, and it will save the changes and put the information in. So different cells that we set up, like we said, we set up these to be hours, and when you put the hours in, it will calculate it. As long as there's a rate in the system, they will calculate those hours, and you can see the net and gross pay. From this screen, you are also able to quickly, if you had to make a change to an employee's information, like, oh, we forgot to put a deduction in for an employee, you forgot to do a rate change for an employee, by simply clicking on the name here, this will take you right to that employee's maintenance screen. So from here, again, from the snapshot view, you can quickly click on what you need to go into to fix and then make the change. It does, again, open up a new cell in that information. So if you were then to close this cell, you're right back into your payroll screen that you had open originally. So once you're done entering all your information and you've made changes to the payroll, you are able to run your pre-process. So to do that, you would simply click here on the button that says Back to Payroll Batches, and this will take you back to the screen. It will recalculate the information because now it's going through because it's going to give you your estimated cost based on the changes that you did make and the hours that you've added. If you have multiple batches, you are able to run a pre-process register just on that batch, just to verify on that. But in the end, you still do have to run the information for all the batches to confirm it. So generally with any of our clients, I always just say after all information is keyed in, you can click right here on Run Pre-Process Register All Batches. And it brings you to this. You are able to quickly email this report. So if you wanted to email it to yourself or to someone else who wanted to see the information, you can put the check mark in here and put the email address in the system, and it will email a copy of the report as well as showing the copy on the screen. If I click here on the advanced options, this is something new that the NextGen Payentry also gives you. You're able to change the way you sort the information for the pre-process. By default, the pre-process always ran just by department. You're actually able to change it, which is great. So a lot of times I always just run it by name. So you can just look at it by alpha, and you're also able to run it by employee ID. So we're just going to say for right now, I'm going to run this just by employee name, and I'm going to click here on Run Report. So this will work the same exact way as it did in the NextGen system. It's going to, or the legacy system. It's going to bring up and show you the pre-process register. The report is exactly the same as it was. So you're able to view and confirm the hours that you've either put in or imported into the system. You're able to go through and look, and then even scrolling down, many of you are familiar with this report, obviously, your totals that you have in the system to verify. On the bottom, it still does also show you here the total estimated payroll cost is at the bottom here. From this system too, you're able to quickly either print the information, or if you wanted to download and save it, you can quickly download and save it to your local drive to have a copy for yourself as well. So again, the options you have here, just by even just moving your mouse up and over, it will bring up the options to be able to either print it or to save it. If you still had changes after you had to do your information, you can go right into Back to Payroll Batches and go into the batch again to make any changes you needed to make. I'm just going to run this again and just say that we have it done and we're good. If your payroll is verified, you can go right here to Totals Verified, and you can close your payroll. This you would only click on is if you're done with your payroll and you're getting ready to submit the payroll to PayPro so we can process it. So if we clicked on this, Totals Verified, Close Payroll, we would click right on that. You will now see that the wages entered, viewed and verified, and batch closed is closed. From there, you would click on Submit Payroll, which I'm not going to do because this is a demo company, and I don't want to submit, obviously, the demo, but it would pop up with the box again, confirming that you wanted to submit your payroll, and it would again show you the total estimated cost for your payroll. You are still also able to open the payroll up because it prompts you one more time. Even at this point, when you close the payroll, there is this reopen information. Even if you accidentally closed it, you click the wrong button, you can click here to reopen payroll and click open. And then from your batch, you just want to reopen and open the batch. So now this will again allow you to be able to go in and change. You will now see the wages entered is opened again, but you reviewed and verified. If we make any changes in the system to anyone's wages, the system will make you run a new pre-process register to confirm that you have re-verified the payroll. And that is basically the payroll entry screen. One quick thing too that they've made a lot easier that we've been having a lot of clients use is the time import. This is something we can assist any of our clients with. You have a CSV file that we can work with you with, that we can then import your employees' wages rather than you keying the information in. So what we're able to do is to give you kind of a template that you can work off of, that you can then have your employees' information put on an Excel sheet. You would then just put the information in the Excel sheet in the template that we've given. You would simply click the time import box, you would pick the file from a local drive that you have and then import the file in. That information would then be loaded into the payroll system, and then all you'd be doing then is just making any quick changes to employees that you may have to make, or just simply running your pre-processed register to verify all the information that came in. Again, this is something that we can assist you with to set up with the Excel sheets and the different templates that we have, and that you can yourself just import your payroll right into the system, saving you time. Again, we're going to go back just to the main part of our screen. I can't hit the home dashboard because I have other information, but if you click up here at the top of the company, this will take you back to the home screen. For the system with the reports, you have the widget here for reports. Again, it works very similar to the way that it did work in the legacy system, except it's a lot cleaner now. So you have here, that you have here on the left, is any save reports. So what you're able to do is take any company reports that you run, if you run your payroll register and your labor distribution report or a payroll summary report, those reports you can add from the company reports. So if I click here on company reports, this gives you a list, and they've cleaned up the way that they list them, so it kind of breaks it down a little easier to figure out what reports you're looking through, whether it be ACA reports, accrual reports, company-specific reports, some compliant reports with like EEOC reporting, employee reports that they have in the system that are customer ready. These are basically PDF reports you can have in the system. Your insurance, miscellaneous, any payroll reports, things with certified payroll, your payroll registers, information with that, tax reports. So it does break out the reports to make it a little easier to see in the system. So that does something that we've had a lot of clients when they've used this now, they're able to just go through here and figure out, and it's a lot easier to use. So we'll use right now, just to use an example, the payroll summary report to see. So if I click here on run, this is going to open up a box that will put the information here. By default, again, just like every other report, it's going to be most recent pay period, and the system will have whatever other payroll dates that you have. You're able to override the dates and choose whatever check dates you want to see for this information. You're able to email that report if you wanted it to come out as well. Generally, these standard reports are PDF reports, so they will always be in a PDF information. If you check this little box here, display this report in my reports, that's what will take it and save it for you. So you're also able to put a different name. So you can call this whatever you want, like if you just wanted to call it pay summary, that's how it will show in the information. You're also able to customize the report if you wanted to show different ways as well. You can click right here to run the report. Again, it's our demo company, so most of this will show up with blank information, but we can go back to reports. And if I click on my reports, right here in this little report pickup is where it puts the report that you just ran. So you're able to see it. This report will also stay here for 24 hours. So you don't have to rerun the same report over and over again. It will automatically be sitting here. So if you click on here to download, it will then pop the report up. Obviously, like I said, it's a demo company, so we don't have as much information in here. This is blank, but it will show that report information. From there, you're able, again, to download or print that information that you need. It does have the report writer feature in the system as well. So by simply clicking here on Add Report Writer Report, you're able to create a report. By default, generally, if you're creating a report, the most common information that you're going to pick for this would be the employee list. That's where probably about 80% of the information that we have that clients run their information. You would just pick the employee list. It does have all the same listings that it has. Basically, for each tab, you're able to get deeper and deeper into it with the taxes, direct deposits, information like that you're able to get into. If we just did this for employee list, what we want to call this report, you can make a new title for it. So if I was just going to call this employee, and then here, you would just click the little arrow, and then this gives you the information that you can pull in. So simply, you don't have to double click or hit add. You just click on whatever, once it's highlighted, just click it once, and it will move the information over. So you can do last name, first name, and if we're just looking for address information, if I click on each one of these, it will give this information. You're able to sort the information through the system as well. So if we wanted to look at this by last name, first name, we can have that where it'll automatically sort it that way for us. And then also going to filters. If we wanted to filter, say we only want to see this just for active employees. So if we use the filter status for this, we go into edit, we leave this as equals, and then we would just put the quotes in the A, and this will give us information for that. Once you put the filter in, you do have to click update so it saves it. So if we wanted to save and run this report, we would click save and run, and it will bring this information up. Again, by default, it will automatically be PDF, the most recent pay period. With the report writer reports, just like in Legacy, you are able to save them as a CSV format for an Excel version. And you always want to, whenever you do the Excel, generally you always just want to put the output headers on it. You, again, with any report, if you check this box, you're able to email the report as well as previewing it. So if I click here on Run Report, this will run that report. Again, if I go back to my reports, that information for the address report we just ran, that also added that report to our saved reports. So it's sitting there as well. I'm going to leave it down here, but if I just click download and then choose it, here's the report we just made. So then we can just click through here, and you're able to save the information on your desktop based on the information that we put into the system. And that's the report section of the NextGen Payentry. Again, it's a lot cleaner, a lot simpler to use, and we've gotten, the clients that we've had, the few that we've moved onto the new system just as to test it through, they love using this system. They find it much easier to maneuver through. They find it much easier to use, and entering the information, especially in the payroll end, has been a lot easier as well. If we go back to our home screen, just something to show as well that we do have in the system. With the employee self-service, that is set up through the system. And again, that's something that you'll be hearing from us working on for the employee self-service, for getting employees to be able to look at their checks online. The setup for it is very easy and simple, and our customer service reps work closely with you just to get the information in the system. We do have for the service configuration, we generally just have a one step where we set it up just to be by default for the information. Generally, we don't have it where the employees can make any changes to any information. It's a view only, and they're able to see the information for their check. So basically, that's where this information is set up. And generally, this is what we go through with you as the client, just to confirm everything with you once we set it up. Really, it's just setting up a contact email information that we would just need for the employer, just an email address for them, and then going through and setting up the information. The employees do, once they get the information, if they're on direct deposit and it's the date of the check, the employees get an email sent to them that their paycheck is now available online. They're able to click the link, or they can simply go to my.payentry.com, and they can log on and see the information. With that system, the employee also controls everything that they have. If they lose their password, they forget their password, they forget their username, all that information is able to be clicked in, and they're able to go and recover all that information, just like your normal banking information or credit card login information. So there's no need for them to reach out or have to do and speak to you. They're able to reset their passwords. They're able to reset their usernames and set all the information up. There's security questions that go to that, and it's a double verify certification as well. When the employee is able to go into it, they're able to log in with their password, and then also either getting a text sent to them or using a mobile app for a security code that they would then input into the system. The My Payentry system also does have an app that they've just introduced over the last 2 months. So if an employee wanted to load the app on their phone, they can actually put it on their iPhone or Google phone, Samsung, whatever phone you have. It's for any database that works through the Android system or the iPhone systems. So they're able to load the app on their phone as well. So if they wanted to see their check information, they can just look on their phone, open up the app, see their most recent check, and verify the information. Well, again, that is all. I want to thank you all for taking the time today to go through the system and to walk through this. Again, we're very excited to be able to show you guys and to introduce you to this new user interface. Again, we feel any questions or anything you guys have, we've created different types of training materials, and we even have some videos themselves to go over. Again, we will save this video, and it will be able to be something that we'll be able to present to you as well, so you can view again on your own time or even show your staff as they start to go through the system. Questions or anything that anyone has, please feel free to reach out to your customer service rep. Dates just to keep in mind, on June 22nd, that will be the date that we will be having this go live in the system. So when you go to payprollcorp.com and you go to log on to the Payentry system, this will bring you starting on Monday, June 22nd. It will bring you to the new UI, so you'll be able to use that information and use this system to continue to log into your payroll information. If you are interested in getting your information and using the new UI before that date, please reach out to your customer service rep, and we can definitely get you set up ahead of time with that as well. Again, I want to thank you all for taking the time to be with us today to review this new UI. Please be well and be safe during these times with all this COVID information. And again, thank you guys very much, and have a great day.